What's up everybody, KingGBL here, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be showcasing a very strong buffed Pokemon this season, which is Golisopod. As you can see, we're running a triple buff team, Galarian Weezing, Golisopod and Lapras. I think overall, this team works pretty well together. Galarian Weezing of course is weak to ground, Golisopod does very well into Mud Slappers, and so does Lapras. And Lapras can be very good draw out to something like Annihilate in the back, or whatever Pokemon you're trying to draw out. I think just neutrally, Lapras is such a great Pokemon in this meta, and I'm very happy that they actually buffed this Pokemon. I think the water ice typing is great. However, Dugong, it's just kind of an annoying Pokemon which goes for a lot of debuffs. It's nice to have that typing with a different option, and I think Lapras has been really good this season so far. Anyway, I think Golisopod's going to be very interesting this season. Some very cool things about this Pokemon is it's more attack weighted than Feraligatr. So in the mirror match, you actually just straight up beat Feraligatr with this Pokemon. So if you're looking for a Shadow Claw safe swap, something that's a bit glassy, a bit of a glass cannon, something like a Feraligatr, Golisopod can really fulfill that role quite nicely. The really cool thing as well is, you've got the Aqua Jet, which is a must-use move on this Pokemon now. You can either go for X-Scissor or Aerial Ace as your second move, so if you're looking for some coverage into, let's say, fighters, you could go for Aerial Ace. If you want more cover, like a better move into Grass type, of course Ace and X-Scissor both do fine there. You could go for that. I think X-Scissor, generally speaking, will be the best move to go for, except for limited metas where maybe X-Scissor is, neutral and Ace is going to be better. You'll have to look at it, but I think overall, with a lot of the dark types in the meta, you probably want X-Scissor, and of course it looks to one-shot things like Morpeko. And with the cheaper coverage water move, which is now 5 Shadow Claws instead of 6 for the liquidation, I think it's looking very tough. Let me know your thoughts on Golisopod in the comments down below. Do you think it's going to be good for the meta? Do you think it could replace Feraligatr in certain positions? Even having a look at things like Grumpig here, you can look to do heavy damage with X-Scissor here. There's just so many Pokemon that Shadow Claw, X-Scissor and Aqua Jet are hitting, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Also, we have access to Feraligatr in this Pokemon, so if you ever get this into a meta where, let's say for example, you want to be beating Morpekos more easily, Feraligatr could be a really interesting option for this. But anyway, without any further ado, let's hop on into the battles here. Drop a like in the video, subscribe if you've not yet done so. In this battle here, we've got Wigglytuff. Unfortunately, 2 Aqua Jets don't quite knock out a Wiggly. They will be forced to throw before I reach the next move. And this is kind of nice, we get a pretty decent farm down here with Galarian Weezing, or in fact we actually come in with Lapras to get the farm down. Lapras up energy just does crazy things in this meta here. Back in comes Grumpig. We have to shield this. If you guys didn't know, the Dynamic Punch is now a Psystrike clone, which is one of the best moves in the game. I decide to build up a little bit extra here for the Sparkling Aria. The opponent's actually shielding this move. I am quite tempted to go for a catch. We do make a very nice catch here. I think the opponent can go for an undercharge, but we should be able to still, because of course it's super effective damage into us, we should be able to still farm this down. In comes Drapion. This is perfectly fine. I think the Grumpig still could potentially make a move here, so I decide we're going to no-shield the potential crunch here. This will not lock to knock us out, and it's going to be very difficult for the opponent to sidewave us down. Lapras is a bulky boy. Thankfully no crunch debuff, that made the match quite close, but we're just basically forcing the opponent to commit to a farm down. Lapras is a little bit bulkier. They go for a last second move. As you can see, the opponent would have got to the move, so it definitely was the correct play to no-shield the crunch. We live in 1 HP, and that's a very good win there. Hopping into the next one, Weezing versus Golurk. We've got basically 3 answers to this Pokemon. What I decide to do here is go for 4 and throw in the Brutal Swing. Galarian Weezing with buffed Sludge and Brutal Swing, the pacing is very fast. We get an early shield off the opponent, come into Golisopod, and the opponent comes into Steelix. Now they're offering super effective damage here with Thunderfang, however we do massive damage with Aqua Jet, and we can spam these right out. If you imagine, if we were in Liquidation, we wouldn't be quite getting to this move yet. We'd have to do 2 more Shadow Claws to be getting to this move, and as you can see, we actually might have just died if we were in Liquidation, so having that faster pacing already making a massive difference. Now I decide here at this point, Earthquake me daddy, he does actually go for the Earthquake. I have to let that go, come in with Lapras, and try to sweep. Unfortunately they get off the debuff here. This is really frustrating. This is our final Pokemon. They come into the Golurk. The good thing is we're up 2 shields, right, so we can sort of hope to do something. We look to get rid of that Golurk before they mud slap us into oblivion. In comes Drapion, and I think we're in a great position. It's straight basically 4 to Aqua Tail. They're going to do 2 Aqua Tails plus a Crunch. So basically they need 13 fast moves to take out this Lapras. I just counted it up and figured it out, like, I paced this thing. So I don't really need to call it or anything like that. I kind of was tempted to call it just because it was so obvious, just to kind of put an end to it, but we decided to play it safe here. Go for double Sparkling, and that's good games. One thing with Lapras which is worth knowing is, if you can only get off 1 more move, go for Ice Beam, it does a bit more damage. Pangoro does absolutely horrible into Weezing, it's probably one of its worst matchups. The opponent goes into Lapras. Oftentimes, if I get a Lapras safe swap, instead of bringing in my Golisopod, because Golisopod will take a lot of damage from that still, they don't die to 1 X-Scissor and they'll probably make it to 2 Sparklings. I decide just to chip and go into my own most of the time. No matter what the team is, I more than often do that. Lapras is a really good safe swap in the current meta, just because they can get shields off basically anything. I decided here, like, we could go for an aggressive farm down. The opponent comes into their Pangoro. We're going to get off a high damage move here. The opponent definitely can get a massive overfarm, and we're basically able to swap right out here. The opponent could start going for close combats, which will add up, even though double resisted. It's better to go for a double resisted close combat as opposed to a single resisted Night Slash. Now sadly, this move does not quite knock them out. They will make it to a potential close combat. This would definitely chunk us. I'm pretty much happy to let it go. I'm assuming being double weak to Fairy, they have answers to Fairies in the back, and here it is. But they do have the Clodsar. So we're looking to be in a great position here. We still have our Lapras alive with Psywaves, which with that health range, like, we can still do a lot. Yeah, and I think the opponent realizes that and just basically decides, yeah, we have to get rid of this. I'm able to see which moveset the opponent's on. They're on Stone Edge. We wait down our switch clock. I'll give ourselves an opportunity to catch later on, and we're just in a great position here. I pretty much expected the catch at this point, but I was pretty much happy to get rid of the Lapras anyway, so I didn't really mind this too much. I knew that was such an obvious time to catch, right? Wait till I throw the move immediately and then catch. But I was happy to get rid of it. I just knew I can outpace here pretty heavily. Aqua Jet, gonna just start destroying the Clodsar. And they're on Stone Edge. Unless they're on Sludge Bomb, there's no baits available for the opponent. And I think the opponent recognizes we're going to make it to 2 Aqua Jets before they make it to 2 more Stone Edges. As we lead, a fantastic lead for Weezing here. We're going to build up to 7 and for the Sludge here. Very, very nice pacing, like I said, for Weezing. And you're going to see in things like Fantasy Cup, this matchup is going to be so good for Weezing. I decided to go for a catch. This is always going to be an Ice Beam, of course, Play Rough being resisted. It's double resisted here on the Lapras, and out comes the Morpeko. Now, I thought that maybe in this matchup, what we might be able to do is shield the first move, no shield the second one, and look to basically get off 2 moves, right? Unfortunately, that's not the case. The opponent actually tanks the move here. Super happy they tanked it, because that puts it into a farm down range for Weezing. They go for Orwell. The opponent's back into electric mode. Of course, we're going to have to shield Psychic Fangs if they make it. We farm them all the way down. If Azzy comes back in, we can look to 1 on Sludge here. And we'll basically see if the opponent's weak to this in the back. Could be another Dark-type Pokemon. The opponent no-shields that. I look to over-farm as much as I can. I try to go for a catch on the potential Ice Beam. The opponent comes into Medicham, which is somewhat coming back into the meta. But Medicham gets absolutely shit on by this Golisopod. This pod just resists everything, unless the opponent's running Psychic. In which case, we can still tank it, and it's going to be a very comfortable matchup either way. Good games well played there, and hopping into the next one, we've got a Chargebug lead. So, here's something you need to know about Chargebug. Ordinarily, the count for Chargebug was free for Discharge, I believe, just straight freeze the whole time. For X-Scissor, it was free 2. With the buff to Discharge, it's now free 2. So X-Scissor and Discharge are both free 2. So keep that in mind. If the opponent throws the move early, it's not an X-Scissor, they're going for Discharge. Don't know why the opponent would bait that X-Scissor there. I guess the opponent probably didn't realise it either. I'm playing this pretty badly at this point. I'm just trying to get rid of this bloody thing. We get a shield advantage, the opponent still has to throw. They get a little bit greedy, overfarm too much, and we can look to take them out with a Brutal Swing. So yeah, pretty happy with that. We take Swap, and the opponent comes in with a Swampert. They only get 1 Mud Shot ahead. Now, normally Golisopod is really good into Mud Boys, but up energy, Swampert can do really well because they've got Sludge now, they can 2-shot the Golisopod. So I decided to come in with Lapras, tank the energy on here, and look to see what we can do later on with the Golisopod. The opponent comes into their Lapras, I come into my Golisopod. Unless they're running Skull Bash, we resist all of the moves. Psywaves definitely will add up. But as you can see, we're having a very, very good matchup here. That X-Scissor is close enough to half where we can probably just about 2-shot it. We respect the Skull Bash, the opponent built up to it. I just decide, you know, this might as well be the move that I shield. Even if this move was the Sparkling Ariam, I'd rather shield up a Sparkling Ariam and keep some health on this Pokemon, as opposed to basically shielding some random stuff later on. In comes Swampert, we come in with the Snipe for Lapras, bang! That's going to look to do heavy damage, and we should be making it to a second move very comfortably here. This is a non-Shadow Swampert, this won't even come close to knocking me out, and we will make it to another Sparkling here. I think I was tempted to commit to the Ice Beam, but I behaved myself and just throw this here. The Swampert gets cleaned up, we're going to farm down the Lapras, and that's going to be good games well played. So I quite like this team. I think you could also replace Lapras with a Mud Slapper, so if you wanted to use like a Gastrodon instead, I think that would definitely make sense as well. In the lead here we get, what the heck is this Pokemon called? What is this Pokemon called? I literally cannot remember what this Pokemon is called. Italian Muck, people have called this Pokemon. Swalot. Swalot in the lead. We come in with our Lapras, the opponent will look to go for a second move here. I'm happy enough to take this, it's only a Sludge, this Pokemon's very bulky. And then comes Dusknoir. I can't quite tell from the video here if they're in Hex, but if they're in Hex, the pacing is going to be pretty fast for them. They end up shielding the first move. I don't know if I live a Dynamic Punch from a non-Shadow. I definitely get one-shot by the Shadow. I just kind of recognize here that I can probably get all shields down off the opponent and look to maybe sweep up with Golisopod. I catch a potential Dynamic Punch on the Weezing. We'll be able to look to go 4 and fro. That's double resisted, and the opponent comes back into Swallow. So we draw this back out again. I'm pretty happy to draw this back out. That means that I can maybe look to set up some energy for Golisopod, or look to set up a farm down for the Lapras. I think what I most likely do is come Lapras first, absorb any residual energy from the Swallow, keep my Golisopod as healthy as possible. Yep, as you can see, we're basically coming in to sacrifice it. The opponent's forced to throw here, and then I think we're going to make a pivot quite soon. The opponent will make 2 moves here, so we're going to completely sacrifice this and look to get an energy lead with Golisopod. The opponent swaps straight out into their Dusknoir. I'm going to hopefully try to get rid of them before they get off a move. Unfortunately, they do make it to 1. I'm going to have to respect this. And can we actually get a farm down? Can we farm this the whole way down? Yes, we do. We're up an absolute ton of energy. The opponent comes into Guzzlord, and that's going to be a good night for them. X-Scissor is going to be super effective. 2 of these will be looking to easily knock it out. The opponent concedes the match, and Golisopod gets the sweep. Very good lead for Galarian Weezing here. We just outpace this very, very heavily. We're a Poison Fairy type. We resist the charms. We have super effective sludges. The opponent goes for the catch on Blastoise. I don't really know what to do with this thing. To be honest, this is kind of an awkward Pokemon. Blastoise basically beats my entire team in any even shielding scenario. So I decided to go for a chip with Sludge with Galarian Weezing, try to put this in a manageable range. We can take the Skull Bash here pretty comfortably. It does a lot of damage, mind you, like we don't really want to take Skull Bashes all day every day, but we can look to get this into a range where we can potentially farm it down. The opponent's shielding here, which makes me think they're probably going to try to fight for this. If they shield once, they're going to have to shield twice, and I think if the opponent does shield twice, they actually end up letting it go, but I think I would have maybe just taken an energy lead at that point. We even get off a dying Sparkling Aria on this Charmer. Get this stupid ass charm out of here. Get the off my screen. To be completely honest though, Wigglytuff is going to be very, very broken this season. A lot of the meta is just so weak to Wiggly. I talked about Morpeko in yesterday's video. I think I actually mentioned this in the video yesterday. Just run a Morpeko Wiggly backline and you'll beat 90% of the meta basically. That's just kind of how it is at the moment. The opponent brings in Lapras. Golisopod is a pretty decent matchup in here, and we should be looking to be plain sailing. The opponent's going to go for a Sparkling Aria. I think I could just let this go at this stage, but I decided to give the opponent their shield back just in case it is the Skull Bash. It is the Skull Bash. We respect it correctly here. I wonder if I let that go, would I have won this battle? I think I probably would have, even with super effective side waves on the Weezing. I might have been able to just pull it out. We end up going for the undercharge here, swap into the Weezing, very win them down, and that's good games. So yeah, the team's working very, very nicely. Golisopod, being so good into Lapras is really helping it out here. And like I said, it beats Feraligatr. If you're up a little bit of energy, you can beat Morpeko. You can threaten the one-shot with the X-Scissor. The opponent has to beat Psychic Fangs to beat you. Beats Annihilate that you're seeing on screen, which of course Weezing does very well into. The pacing's very good for Weezing against this matchup, and the opponent's quite interestingly staying in. I'm thinking if it's Annihilate Blade, you most likely have things that are weak to counter in the back. So you could be looking at Lapras now instead of Dugong, or you could be looking at still Dugong. You could be looking at Bastiodon. I've seen this with Wiggly in the back as well. The opponent actually comes into a Grumpig, so quite interesting here. They're very, very resistant to counter on this team. They actually tank the move and I come into Golisopod right away. Golisopod absolutely wrecks Grumpig. We can look to go for an Aqua Jet, even though X-Scissors are super effective, just in case the opponent decides to go for a catch here. I was thinking maybe they catch it on a Bastiodon or something like that, but then again, they could catch it on a Lapras or a Dugong, so it's not great either way. The opponent comes into Feraligatr, and this is curtains for them. Golisopod absolutely wrecks Gator. You can take the Hydro Cannon pretty comfortably from full health. As you can see, we don't quite one-shot there, but it's very, very close to one-shotting. Once we land the X-Scissor, we can more or less farm this the whole way down. I think we are sort of forced to throw the second move. I just go for the dirty play instead. Go for the Weezing swap. Even if the opponent undercharges here, we can still like farm it down. We farm this down with Lapras, and we're going to farm down this with the Lapras as well. The reason I went for the catch is because I didn't want to show the opponent my third Pokemon, but I accidentally tapped the Lapras in, so that kind of sucks. I kind of failed on that one, but good games nonetheless there. And I think we're hopping into our last battle or two here. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Guys, if you do enjoy these videos, please drop a like on them. It helps out an absolute ton. I know I sort of bang on about it quite a lot when I'm streaming, but if you guys want to support your favorite creators in the Pokemon Go space or any sort of content creators that you watch, definitely drop a like on their videos, drop comments. It all helps out the YouTube algorithm. Big shout out and thank you to our channel members and our supporters here. Really appreciate it. Big thank you. If you guys are interested, feel free to join us in Discord in the description. The opponent actually goes for Acrobatics here. That absolutely wrecked the Weezing. However, we're going to build up to back-to-back moves. I think this might just about one-shot it from here, just about. In comes Macargo. Macargo is quite interesting. It used to be straight free to Rock Tomb, and that's free too. So this Pokemon's pacing is much improved. And Rock Tomb, of course, guarantees a debuff. Rock Tomb's kind of a crazy move now. I don't want to let this move go. It would do an absolute ton, but I think we're basically forced to let this go at this stage. Look to try and get 2 shields off the opponent. Do we just put this all in Golisopod at this point? I think we're just putting it all in Golisopod. So hopefully Pod can sweep this whole match up here. Yep, we're going to come in here. The opponent should be free off the move, so we can look to 7 and throw. We go for 7 and throw. I sort of half expect the opponent to let this go, but we'll see what they want to do. They actually go for the shield, and then they swap into Mighty Ina. Mighty Ina deserved better than this, man. Mighty Ina deserved better. We almost one-shot it. We actually come in with the Galarian Weezing unnecessarily. But at this point, we've got so much energy in Weezing, we can basically two-shot this with Brutal Swing. Even got a BM Sludge just to finish out today's video. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. Have a fantastic rest of your day. As you can see, just right at the end here, we got a 5-0 with this team. I think we went 4-1, 3-2, 5-0. So definitely very, very positive, and I do recommend giving Golisopod a try. Anyway, take it easy, have a good rest of your day, drop a like, subscribe, feel free to join us in Discord in the description down below. Last but not least, and most importantly, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all next time.